All right, so the offseason is heading to an end and looking towards the new 27 season. And I'm going to explain to y'all why this offseason is the best since 2019. What is up, YouTube? Amen, say man. This is your boy Amen back at it again for more content. So this offseason has been absolutely ridiculous with the moves that these teams have made to improve the roster to win a championship. We just saw the New York Knicks winning a championship, and given the last 20-year history of the Knicks, this championship has really caused more of a ripple effect across the league, where front offices are looking at that and saying, hey, if the Knicks or the Pacers of all people can go all the way to the championship and win it, why can't we? And that's the majority of rosters have done this offseason. Let's start off with the first major move of the offseason, and that is the Miami Heat getting Giannis Antetokounmpo. As y'all know that the Bucks have been in purgatory with Giannis within the last 2 years. Ever since they have won a championship back in 21, the Bucks have struggled to make it past the second round since. The issue being is the unfortunate injuries, specifically Chris Middleton in the 22 postseason. And despite Giannis taking same Celtics team that made it all the way to the NBA Finals, they simply do not have the firepower to beat Boston without Middleton. Even with Middleton on the team, especially in the second round, and they somehow, some way, they take care of Boston. You still have to deal with the Miami Heat, who were the first seed in the East during that time in the conference finals, in which Jimmy Butler was at his playoff peak that year. So it's not even guaranteed if Milwaukee goes back to back. Then the very next year, you hit a wall, which is yet again the Miami Heat in the first round, and you embarrassingly get gentlemen swept. You get rid of your head coach and Mike Budenholzer, and Giannis that 23 offseason was contemplating leaving Milwaukee since he is going to his last year of his contract that he signed back in 2020. The Bucks made a desperate move to get a superstar alongside Giannis and Damian Lillard, and that experiment was a failure. They basically played your turn, my turn basketball, where they will not be utilized the best without each of them having the ball in their hands, without gelling like one cohesive unit. I mean, it was a mess from the get-go. And also add in the coaching fiasco where they hired good old Doc Rivers in the middle of the 24th season after getting rid of Adrian Griffin. And it didn't help that both Giannis and Lillard dealt with injuries, not just this season, but the season after. It resulted towards back-to-back first-round outs against, you know it, the Indiana Pacers. Then we get to last season, where the Bucks are basically out of options at this point as far as surrounding pieces to put alongside Giannis. I mean, they waived Damian Lillard last offseason because of an Achilles injury and the massive contract that he has. Like, no team was going to trade for him at this point, so they had no other choice but to waive him. And then they signed Miles Turner on a 3-year, $120 million deal. I mean, the roster they have without Middleton, Holiday, and then Lillard, the Bucks were just not good enough to be a playoff team. And after that season, where they missed the playoffs, they finally pulled the trigger and got Giannis to the team that owned him for the whole decade in the Miami Heat. And man, looking at this trade, it was honestly really shocking that Pat Riley and the crew decided to trade for a big name star since Shaq in 04. And I guess you can count LeBron in 2010 since it was a sign and trade. But furthermore, the Miami Heat receives a top 7 player in the league with Giannis, and he pairs alongside Bam Adebayo, who has been one of the best defensive bigs of the decade, and also is a high-level offensive player in his own right. It is going to be a very interesting tandem to watch going into the next season, but there is one discrepancy here because the Heat got rid of a massive low such as a Tyler Hero, a Jaime Jaquez Jr., Khalil Ware, and 4 first-round picks to get Giannis. Miami lost a ton of rotation players that are pivotal for championship rosters. Outside of Bobby Portis and Klay Thompson, the second unit will rely heavily on veteran minimum signings and undrafted players. Also, perimeter shooting is the glaring flaw here. Hero was Miami's top perimeter shot creator and volume three-point threat. Without him, teams will aggressively pack the paint against Giannis and Bam unless Miami's remaining role players hit spot-up shots at an elite clip. They did address the issue by getting Klay Thompson, in which he does have something under the tank, especially him shooting 38% from 3 on 7 attempts with Dallas, but he doesn't have the perimeter shot creation like a Tyler Hero, where defenders need to respect and key into him. Also, you have to add in the wear and tear with your star players, most especially Giannis, as he dealt with injuries within the last couple of years. Having a 8-guy rotation, now 9-man rotation with the addition of Klay Thompson, means that Giannis will have to play heavier minutes, and given his age being 32, you have to consider low managing his minutes a tad bit. Despite that, Miami is the gold standard of developing players. I'm sure that Coach Bo will find a way to make the best out of any player on this roster because he's an all-time great coach. With him, along with having Giannis on your roster, them being the Miami Heat with all the additions they've made, I think it's safe to say that they are a dark horse contender in the East. If you want to rate this Giannis trade, I think it is a 8.5 because despite you having Giannis on your roster, but it got rid of a lot of rotation players, further shortening the depth, and that's preventing me from bringing it into a 9 or a 10. Next, I have the Toronto Raptors bringing back Kawhi Leonard. Now, if y'all kept with the Clippers scandal situation, the NBA has officially moved past the Kawhi Leonard aspiration and Daktronic scandal since they unbelievably didn't find sufficient evidence to go forward with the punishment. I might have to do a separate video on this, but I'm still thinking about it, y'all. But going back to the Raptors, they brought back the man that brought their first and only championship to Toronto. And given that fact that they took a Cavs roster that made it all the way to the conference finals into 7 games is impressive. And the fact that they retained all their important pieces such as a Scotty Barnes, a RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Jamal Shed, Colin Murray Boyles, while adding a Kawhi Leonard despite being 35, is still in his prime and honestly had the best statistical regular season of his career despite not making the playoffs last year. I think that this addition propels this Raptors roster into a real contender in the Eastern Conference. And especially on the defensive side, I really think that they can rival with the likes of a OKC and San Antonio defensively. It's going to be really interesting how it will work because if everything goes right with Toronto, then it's very likely that they will win their conference. Okay, let's head to the Western Conference where the Minnesota Timberwolves will make a big move to trade for a point guard in LaMelo Ball. This is huge for Anthony Edwards because outside of Mike Conley, in which is really doesn't count, Edwards never played with a real point guard, and now you get a LaMelo Ball who's one of the best playmakers in the league, let alone one of the more impactful players in the league as far as how much players routinely see massive jumps in their effective field goal percentage and offensive rating. His presence alone generates high quality spot up looks where wings and roll opportunities for bigs. Having a guy with having the ability to create a shot all the way from behind the arc on a 37% clip on 10 attempts is very beneficial for spacing on this Timberwolves team. Now, Anthony Edwards could have the chance to attack bent defenses, play off second side catches, and operate as a lethal weak side slasher. And I didn't even mention how good both of them will be in transition. It is going to be really hard to stop their transition game. You also got rid of Julius Randle, and then you replace him with LaMelo Ball. You're going to have one of the more complete rosters in the league as far as offense goes and defense. And yes, getting rid of Naz Reid was a loss, and there is concerns regarding to the backup pick on our roster for Gobert. If they can add in more depth in the trade deadline, such as getting a backup pick for Rudy Gobert, then they will be a dark horse contender in the West. Now having Ball on your roster, I can see a world where Anthony Edwards will have the most efficient season of his career, because now having a guy like LaMelo Ball on your roster, you're going to be set up with easier looks and better shot positions. Now having a guy like that on your roster, and potentially he could be the MVP of the new season. But obviously time will tell. Next up, we have Ja Morant going to the Portland Trail Blazers, in which makes it the end of the era with the JJJ Ja duo. As we all know that Ja Morant is one of the most unhinged, volatile, and let alone one of the most disappointing players in the NBA. The Grizzlies literally set this man to the Blazers for his career to die in. For Portland, I really don't get the trade to get Ja, even though they have Jrue Holiday. They also have Scoot Henderson, and hell, they even brought back Damian Lillard. You also have Shaedon Sharpe on your roster, and then you bring in Ja in this mess. Honestly, the only thing that I can make sense of is the Blazers eventually buying out of his 4-year deal that he signed after the 22 season within the next couple of years, if he stinks it up, or trade him for a younger and better assets for the Blazers if he balls out, because I don't expect Morant to be the long-term guy going forward. After next season, I see a world where he'll be on a different team. Either way, a wide majority of the teams do not want to trade for Ja Morant. I mean, do you blame them? He is a walking cancer to the locker room, and unless he balls out and cleans up his image, then I can see him upgrading his trade value, and who knows, maybe he ends up on a contender. Honestly, guys, I really don't know how Portland is going to utilize all 4 starting level point guards on your team. Let's wait and see how it goes. The next major move of this crazy offseason is the departure of LeBron James and the Lakers overhaul. After LeBron's exit, the Lakers acquired Walker Kessler from Utah via sign and trade and shipped DeAndre Ayton to Washington. It costed them a unprotected 2031 and 2033 first round picks plus the 2028 and 2030 swaps to Utah. Despite them re-signing Austin Reeves to a 4-year, $180 million deal, the additions on your roster, I mean, you brought in Quinn Grimes on a 4-year, $60 million deal, Sandro Mamukelele on a 4-year, $52 million deal, Colin Sexton on a 2-year, $19.2 million deal, along with Kevon Looney, Matisse Thybulle, and Zaire Williams. This is a younger roster, and the players do fit Luka's playstyle and needs well, but it's still not good enough for them to compete in the West. I mean, you signed Walker Kessler, who's a good rim protector, but he's simply not worth the money and the assets to trade for him. Not only that, you virtually have no future due to the pick that you sent away to Utah. And you lock up your entire roster, especially locking over $475 million across Doncic, Reeves, and Kessler. And that leaves you with zero financial flexibility under the second apron. If Kessler gets play off the floor in playoff switch schemes, or secondary scoring falters against top tier Western contenders, the Lakers have no draft capital or cap flexibility left to make adjustments. I don't know what the Lakers are doing, especially Rob Pelinka, and they dunked themselves into the dirt. And honestly, if this continues, man, then I definitely see Luka Doncic in the future forcing himself out of LA, making it a total failure, seeing how they got this man literally for free from the Mavericks. And last but not least, is the Jaylen Brown trade and the LeBron signing. I really don't need to explain too much, y'all, because I already made videos on the both of them. The fact of the matter is that the Sixers by far have one of the best off seasons for a franchise, maybe ever. They flipped a washed up Paul George and a couple of picks in exchange for Jaylen Brown, who was at one point a top 3 MVP candidate last season before JT came back from injury. And then you get LeBron on a 2-year, $7.8 million deal, who's still a top 15 player in the league. You still have Tyrese Maxey, who is a top 5 point guard in the league, along with Joel Embiid, who is the second best player in the game when healthy. And plus, you added pieces such as an Anthony Simons, a first round rookie, and LeBaron Fillon Jr., along with the signing of KCP and Dean Wade. And even though I have concerns with the bench center position, the roster is geared to be the frontrunner to win the East, especially if Embiid is healthy along the way. To describe this offseason in simple terms, it was pure 2K franchise mode chaos brought to life. Front offices stopped playing it safe. The second apron scared contenders into blowing up their own championship foundations. Boston dealing Jaylen Brown, Milwaukee splitting with Giannis, which triggered a massive domino effect across the entire league. Teams decided to push every single chip to the middle of the table. Philadelphia built a literal four-headed monster. Miami traded away an entire generation of depth just to create a Giannis and Bam brick wall. And Minnesota gave Anthony Edwards an elite transition playmaker in LaMelo. It's high-risk championship or bust basketball where one bad ankle roll completely derails a season. Teams like Portland and the Lakers took massive gambles just to stay relevant or pivot. Portland created an absurd four-guard traffic jam hoping Ja Morant regains star trade value, while the Lakers mortgaged their entire draft future through 2033 just to give Luka Doncic a drop coverage rim protector and Walker Kessler. It wasn't a summer of subtle retooling. It was front offices panicking, blowing up 5-year plans in 48 hours, and creating the most top-heavy, volatile league landscape in modern NBA history. And that's the end of this video, y'all. I know I covered a whole lot in this video, but let me know on the comment section below on the other important off-season moves that I didn't cover in this video. And be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content in the future. And smash the like button if you really enjoyed this video, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss anything new from me. And that's pretty much it. Stay litty. This is your boy A-Man, signing